Hello, everybody. It's Sunday. We're gonna get arty. We got some fun little, a little bit of happy mail. I didn't bring all of it up, but we'll show a little bit of what Sumont sent us, and I just want y'all to know that this hair is not happy today. I like to give a hair update, and that's it. All right. So, do say hello in the chat so we can say hello back. Otherwise, we do not know that you are here. We like to know that you are here because we are an arty-friendly bunch of folks. This over here is P.
M.
Patricia.
Mariah.
And together,
we are PM Artist Studio.
See, earlier, okay, there we go. That's a little better. All right, so saying hello in the chat. Please, if you are watching on replay, let us know in the comments down below. But either way, would y'all give those thumbsy upsies if you haven't already? It is June 22nd. We are kind of getting closer to the end of the month, but we aren't quite there. So, you know, we always have fun things going on over at Makers. That's the Makers and Mixed Media Art and Artists Facebook group. But most of the things have already, you know, like you have to sign up at the beginning of the month. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I mean,
I need to get ready for next month.
That's right. Gotta get ready for next month. I don't really know what's happening. I don't know what's going on.
Nobody's consulted me, so I can't give you that information.
And don't consult her. She will just muddy the waters. I just guarantee you of that. She will have ideas that she's not willing to implement herself. Much like my daughter.
That is just so... That's...
If y'all missed Saturday Scoots, we did that yesterday. Always a very fun mommy-daughter time where I'm just like,
please can we have to report on my thrift store.
You do.
Experience. Hey, we're going to get all that stuff. I'm hoping that I can talk to Caleb and he can bring, because he took his, he was so excited. We spent 2 hours.
And they've decided that Josh and Luke do not need to go next time.
Next time, Joshy and Lukey are going to stay at home. They're like, you know, I told them at one point, I said, this is one of the reasons I didn't bring Izzy.
Yeah. Or Mariah.
Yeah. They're throwing toys at each other, balls at each other in the store and everything.
They're puppies.
And I was just like, you know, y'all.
All right, let me say hello to everybody.
Anyway, we got some great stuff.
They really did. And a pair of pants I was able to wear the little campaign thing last night. I was like, heck yeah, because I was going to wear my jeans because my other pants were like, you know, 2 days in San Antonio and haven't been washed, and that wasn't an option.
Well, I really didn't get those pants for her. I got them because they had great pockets and good hardware. But the minute she saw them, she snatched them away from me. And said,
she had some other great ones, but they were a little too large. But see, when you're thrifting for the fabric, you go big.
Yeah.
But one pair was my size, and that made me very happy. All right, let's say hello to everybody. Good enough. We're yammering on about things. We've got Acme here. Alice Goes Nomad, and Webb, Apple May, that's April, Bartender's Daughter, Becky, Betsy, Colleen, Cookie Bookie, that's Mo, Darcy, Diane, what are you doing? She's just making, I mean, she might as well be eating peanuts over there.
I'm ripping.
I know, I hear that.
I haven't been snorting, but I might start.
Ripping and snorting. Y'all know that little saying, you know, ripping, so she loves to say that.
I'm not throwing this away.
Anyway, okay,
Susan.
Cookie Wookie, that's Mo, Darcy, Diane, Eddie, Ellen, Estella, Gerald, Gray Like Gray, Griffin Shell, that's Rhonda, Handy Scandy, that's Nancy, Hoarder Paper Crafts, that's Mimi, Yanka, Jenny, Jennifer, Jenny, we got the Jays in the house, and Joni, and Julie, Lagia, Lindsay, Lizzie, Jean, Margie, Maria, Paige, Paula, Rick Normar, Sophia, Star Traveler, that's Linda, Tegan, Painting Again, that is Sandy. Okay, I think I got everybody. There might have been a couple of y'all that popped in there. And Laura popped in. Actually, I'm very happy. Okay, so, and Laura and we're in cahoots about some things that are going to happen in July. I'm very happy. Very excited. And I'm going to just say that this is kind of a little bit of a nod to that. Basically, we're going to be mixing art and music and more of our patriotic resistance, protesting kind of whole idea about things. So we've got some cool stuff coming up about that. The reason I found this shirt, because it was in my closet, and this is like circa 1996. I put information in this description because I was like, I don't
think I've ever seen that shirt before.
Oh, because, well, it was from my thinner days. It's a little, I chopped it off, but I got another shirt under it, which makes it more appropriate for my age. I always just liked it.
Her belly's not blasting out there.
I used to show my belly. Anyway, it is a 90s, they called it art rock band. They're pretty good. I'm sure that I saw them. It probably was at like Trees or somewhere down in Deep Ellum, and they were giving away free swag. I know I didn't buy the shirt because I didn't have any money. So yeah, I was always willing to take some free stuff. Anyway, I just thought that was appropriate, and it's a lovely
yeah. Well, it was like a trip down memory lane last night because Mariah came up here and she was really tired. She'd been to an event with Evan, and I didn't go because I was just exhausted after 2 hours at thrift stores, and we only made 2. Then there were 2 more that we wanted to go to, but I told them, I said, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just...
Well, and they had other things they needed to get to, too.
Well, they did, and I think we kind of we shot our wad at the first one. Well, I did, because that's where I got your really cool little, is it linen or is it cotton?
Oh, yeah, and she got me a great shirt. That's a good question. I would say it's more linen.
One of them was linen, mine's cotton that I got. But 2 really cool. And then I got some, cool pants.
Well, we need to make sure Caleb can come back over, and then we'll show all the things, because I know y'all would love that. Hey, Susan. Happy you were here. And I know Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Am I missing anybody else? Okay, so. And then Sue has sent me more lip stuff, and she sent me some earrings. I'm going to, I ordered some different hoop things because I tried to put those on. I don't know if they're actually earrings or not. We were kind of questioning that.
We thought they would make really cool earrings. What are those ones that you have on there? Oh, those are the little.
Yeah, these are my other ones that Sue had sent, but I put them on these little long things so that way you can actually like see them. But then she got me a new. She sent me more domino things.
I'm sure the domino with the skull on it is mine.
She's sure of that, even though the note in the package said all of the dominoes are for Mariah. I have written proof. Really appreciate it when y'all do that, so that way whenever we need to fight about things, I have.
Well, I'm gonna hold him of my stuff hostage until you give up the
skull.
The skull.
We can share it.
But I did get a really cool. I'm going to share it here in just a minute.
Okay, should I go topside?
Yeah.
Okay. Going topside, y'all. Hello, Elizabeth. Okay. Oh, that's not the one. There we go.
Did you notice Joshy struggles a little bit with the...
I saw that. And then I was like, the names aren't even... I mean...
I know he was still Mariah. I don't know if he ever changed that.
He doesn't know how to do it.
I think people understood it wasn't. But you under...
I like that I'm still
an amazing transformation.
I'm still represented no matter what.
Okay, so Izzy brought me this back from San Antonio, which
she was in love with these things.
Cracks me up.
And she just, I mean,
it's some kind of parasitic, or I shouldn't say parasitic, symbiotic
to the trees. Yeah.
Yeah, mossy thing, and it gets attached to the trees and whatnot. And I'm sure that
I said it was like Spanish moss, but I don't think that's right.
No,
but
the Spanish moss is droopy shit.
Stuff.
Okay, and then look at this little tin. Oh my gosh, this is so cute.
Not adorable. I feel like a little sky dog should pop out of it.
I feel like we have some.
We do.
Downstairs. And this clear washi tape, which I will share some of this with Caleb. Because, oh my gosh, we found this. Well, actually, I was very proud of myself. I found it. And he did not. This was very interesting at the thrift store. Our vision of what, was evolving here. And, I'm kind of pushing him a little bit because I think that, he just has one mindset on how things should be. And I think that that's good because it's his style. But I just told him, and I made him get a couple of things that were not in his wheelhouse.
Right.
And I think it was good because then he came up with this. We found this furry, I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was a jacket or something, but faux fur, you know, like leopardy stuff, which he's going to use to line the bag with. I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't know, we just found some other stuff that, found a pair of swimming trunks that had a great you know, that curvy motif.
Yeah, it's like our, what do we call it? Deco something.
Yeah, it's kind of little archy,
Yeah.
you know, interwoven archy things. But I just, it was a fun time.
Hello, Monroe.
It really was. And Joshy got some stupid, you know, brand name shirt that was ugly. And I told him it was.
She's not judgy at all.
I said that is an ugly shirt. Even if it had interesting pattern on it, that would be one thing, but it doesn't even have that.
Hello, Vanessa. If I haven't said
So, yeah. And I told him he was certainly his father's son. Nathan's into brand names.
Oh, yeah.
But at least Joshy goes to the thrift stores. Nathan, I don't think would be caught dead in a thrift store.
I don't know, but he would probably go at this point and then just be obnoxious, pretty much like how Josh and Luke were. And then if you find something really cool for him, then he's like, oh, I'll take that. But he's not like gonna, he's not gonna be invested in it.
No, he's not, and he'll want to go, and he'll be annoying and whatnot. But that's just how it is, you know. You can't have it all. I guess we don't have to all be just alike.
I know that's right.
Okay, so I was really, you know, after I was so excited last night. I had a hard time sleeping, thinking about the things I'm going to do with the fabric. But number one, they need to be washed thoroughly to make sure that there isn't any fabric softener.
Hey, there was a fire meteor that flew by a few days ago. No, we are not up at 3 a.m. Those days are.
Okay, Paige says, please explain the relationship of Caleb and Josh. Okay, Josh is my grandson, Nathan's son.
Josh and Luke are my brother's children.
Caleb is Elizabeth, Josh's mother's sister's child.
My brother's wife.
And actually, they're more like siblings because they grew up together.
Yeah, and they're all very, you know, similar in age. And
yeah, Caleb is a year younger than Josh.
Yes.
He'll be a senior next year.
And then I think 1 or 2 years older than... 2 years older than Luke.
Luke just turned 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that relationship is. Yes. But Elizabeth's father is a tailor. He is a professional tailor. He's worked at one time at Macy's.
Yeah, when they had I'm sure maybe they still do have like a suit department. Yeah, and where they would alter. Yeah, so like they would do it on site. I think they probably outsourced it.
You know, I mean, if you can alter suits, then you know that because that does take a bit of knowledge and whatnot. And Caleb has learned how to do it. And yeah, is producing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to show you.
Eddie says the boys are cousins.
Yes.
Yeah, that's once again, you know, here we are at PM Art Studio over-explaining things.
Well, the thing about it is, I could say they're cousins, but they're more like siblings.
A lot.
They really are. Okay, so I took some, and the reason I have these is because I did another whole series of packets, and I picked some of these out and kept them instead of putting them in the packets because I wanted to share them. They may eventually end up in packets, but I thought it was a good idea to share them with you intact rather than in little pieces. You can see this. This is the Neuro, and then eye feather.
Oh, feathery eye cluster. Look at you, almost remembering.
I need a new one of those. I've really used it to the point that
yeah, because it has little holes, and little holes fill up fast if you do not keep your
they're
stencils
getting full. And I think it's interesting that Josh used. I like this one too, and I could still use it. It's not, but here's feathery eye, and it is just, you can tell. Look at it.
It's thick.
It's thick.
It's quite pretty at this point, too.
It really is, but you can see some of the little tiny holes are getting smaller and smaller.
It happens.
And as they get smaller, it's more difficult to get the
I did that on
paper.
purpose,
paper down in there.
He said in his last order he received prints that had his design on it, and I made sure that was. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I need a new one of those. Okay. And I used this one.
Hello again, Paula.
I don't think I used this one this time. But I didn't because I think it was stuck together to something else and I had to get it loose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happens.
It happens a lot.
I think this is very interesting. This has flop-offs, rub-offs.
All the offs.
All the offs.
Have been put on.
And this one has a blob of... Izzy picks those things off of my little mixing yogurt lid things. And this one got stuck down and I couldn't get it up, so I had to just leave it on there. But isn't that a wonderful, beautiful surface? This is a pickup off the gel plate of that I put back down after I'd gotten a bunch of prints off, like this one.
It was
and
blurry.
So what I did was I put down a layer of, I think it was either the airbrush or maybe it was this satin glazing liquid. Anyway, I put it down on the plate, and then I put the stencil down with the wet side because this is open paint. And this is what happened. Isn't that great?
That's right on. That's right on, Susan.
Okay.
She said, if it's off, it's on. And I'm like, right on.
Okay, look at this. I think this is wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Lizzie Jean. She says, thank you for allowing the boys to help out. Let me tell you, it's a little nerve-wracking because, some things got a little weird over here, but that's fine. It's all fixable. Nothing's broken. Just the, kind of quirky little things.
I know, and they weren't they were driving me crazy with the paint. It's a good thing you couldn't see my expression on my face because sometimes I just wanted to.
I'm sure they could hear it. They all have like little emoji, Patricia emojis in their brain, and they know.
When he slaps that guy in the back of the head, I wanted to do that a couple of times with Josh. He doesn't put the paint. Here's the thing. And I don't know, it took me a long time to learn this. If you put things back in the same place twice.
Do you fully know this? I don't know
if
she fully implements this.
Well, I will just say with paint. It's they're more easily grabbed when you need them in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
But I think this is a wonderful print. And all I did is it was the stencil. You can see the brayer offs. And then a coat of just and this is another one where I put the wet stencil onto the plate and pull this up.
Grace said she could feel your expressions.
She could with the boys.
Yeah. Okay. See, people know we can't. We are not good at hiding our. You can hear it in the voice.
Okay, this is another pick it up off the plate, and then I used the zigzaggy stencil. Thought that looked really cool. Very vibrant.
Diane says, give Josh a break. He was enjoying it.
Oh, I know he was. He was really into it.
We need him to stay encouraged and stay involved. It's okay. Trust me. Like, he's a kind of 2x4 kid.
Subtleties or not.
He doesn't
pick up on.
No.
Okay, this is another one. I think this was the last one. You can see it's fading and it's a little hard to. But you get a lot of mileage out of using that open paint. And the reason I was having more success with pulling it off the plate rather than off of the stencil is because the stencil was not allowing me to get definition.
Right. Okay. Hey, bring that back. Because I think, and will you turn it sideways so we can see it all the way together? So, as someone who sits across from P, and I don't always exactly know like the process that she does, but I think that it is important to point out that being aware of the fact that there are at least 4 to probably 6 layers on this particular print.
Oh, yeah, and this one underneath, there's even more than that.
And due to that layering and those different techniques at different layers, that's how you get those very interesting prints like this.
Yes.
Because if you keep kind of doing the same thing on each layer, it will still end up kind of flat. You need to have variations in the paint, the types of paint. You know, going from the more semi-transparent, like when you start putting down opaque paints, though, like that's either got to be at the very beginning or the very end. And if it's at the very end, be wary of, you know, covering up whatever you have down.
Yes.
Those are things to think about. Transparent paints offer you more
visual variety.
Visual variety at each stage, at each layer.
Yes, and there is a place, and I want to say this because I can show you here in a minute. What I did with okay, I just want to show you this. All I did with this is I just went over the whole thing with the iridescent acrylic Aber Aqua Flash. And it was just, you know, I had done some just some stenciling. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like,
okay, now this is a good example of what Mariah was just talking about here.
And please keep in mind, Pete has been at this since 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And prior to that, you know, 25 years of teaching
art.
Like, so don't beat yourself up if you aren't getting this level of a print, like, and you're first starting out. It took her a while. I'll dig out some of her early prints and we can, you know, get on to her about how much paint she used. And,
yeah, and how much
all the judginess that she was passing the other day, she's done it.
Came off on the, and Josh's brayering is just... Yeah, okay. It is hard. That's why I don't watch other people's videos. Okay, so this...
She yells at the screen.
I do. Get that paper down there. It's not enough paint. Too much paint. That is the one thing it takes more time to learn than anything. Yeah. How much paint. And then when you're changing from fluid acrylics to high flow to heavy bodies, you have to readjust your whole thing. So on this one, I wanted some coverage because the other underneath print was just kind of, and I wanted to cover it. So what I did is I took the orange, and I think it was the,
I love that.
The
that looks awesome.
Light red orange, and I wanted it to be more creamsicle-y.
Oh, okay. So this is a good question. Rhonda says she doesn't know about opaque at the beginning. Nothing behind it will show through. Well, yeah. So you can keep that in mind. That, like, if you wanted, you know,
right there,
very prominent, or think about it like if you're layering onto the plate versus, you know, she came back, she's building the layers on the paper versus on the plate. But if you're building layers on the plate and you want this end block out kind of situation, that needs to be that opaque thing in the very beginning.
Yeah. And what I was trying to do here in order to opacify the transparent orange is I just blobbed in and I used the open.
And we use very technical terms over here at PM Artist Studio.
Blobbed in some white hither and yon. And I like how it did here. Now, you know, I need to be a little more specific about how I put it down on the plate. Because whatever you put down first is what you're going to get.
See, Becky says she struggles. This is her hardest thing, is the amount of paint.
It really, honestly, and I still struggle with it.
Well, and it can vary depending on the weather, even.
Oh, yes.
So it's a fluctuating.
How much it picks up. I want to talk about that one, but that's
it's a fluctuating factor.
But look at this. This was a print that I think I love this, but you can see how thick the paint is here. I got all of these prints
off of that one application.
Off that one an 8, maybe even. Well, and these others that I showed you that I got, you know, partial.
This is a true, but
Prince.
wait, there's more.
All of these.
All of these was were
Now these were the pickups where I put it down and
right.
but as long as it's still tacky,
You pick up what I'm throwing down.
you can pick it up. And here's my last. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but it's a good first layer. But this is where I was cleaning it all off, and you can tell the color.
Yeah, I went kind of that peachy.
Yeah, peachy color that was right here. But you can actually feel how thick the paint is on this. And
there have been calls to repeat the opaque paint thing again, please. Are you going to do some of that today?
Well, I certainly can.
And at some point,
Yes.
Are we getting back to the book, or are these just still more prints? She got kind of, you know.
Well, you know, the shirt that I wore the other day that says I'm
the
not
side quest.
It's a side quest.
Okay. We're side questing.
And the thing about it is if you beat yourself up and you don't follow your joy, your discovery process, and just make sure that you're just staying on, then you become a very dull, uninteresting person and a little bit
Rigid.
angry.
Yeah.
Because you're not feeling this. But
you're not following the joy.
I think these are
Follow the
so
joy.
beautiful. But we will, we can,
Hey, ginger cat lady.
we can do this because I've got some more brayer off, so we'll work with this color. I love orange and turquoise. You know that I do.
Yes.
All right, now I wanted to talk to you about this because I'm very proud of this. I spent hours on this, literally.
So we're gonna spend 5 minutes talking about it.
And we're going to spend at least 5 minutes talking
At
about
least.
it. What it was, and again, this is the same. You see the same print here. From all of these, yeah. I'm going to show you this in real life, and you're going to just be
Jennifer,
gobsmacked on how. But
we'll get her done. Don't you worry.
this layer down the middle was obviously darker, so you've got great contrast here. What I did is I came back in. I added more turquoise and greens into here, and then pulled the oranges down here with colored pencil. Pulled a lot of this sort of. I used Tuscan red and black cherry, Prismacolor, down here to further.
Are you cutting this one up?
I don't think so, because I'm kind of, I'm going to hang on to it for a while.
Then I'll end up at the bottom of a pile and just be like, oh God, I just need to.
Yeah, what am I saving it for? That's what I save finally when I reach that point. But I wish I had a new one of those stencils so that I could.
Well, I wish you would have told me, because that one isn't one that just pops right out.
Yeah. It isn't easily birthed.
It is not easily birthed. It's like having that first baby. Takes a little longer.
And here, I wanted to show you this. You can see Joshy's purple color there.
Hello, Karen.
So I decided I wanted this, and I'm going to talk about this. I've got a lot of things to talk about today.
This is one of Darcy's. I know it's like a style 1 and a style 2. I feel like it's kind of a marble one, or.
But anyway. What I did is I went in and I cut off the outside edge.
That she did.
Because one of the things I noticed when Joshua was doing this was it was hard, to get a good, but now it's exactly half a page.
Nice.
See that?
Yeah.
And what I did, I'll bring the
snaky swirl. Thank you. See, I just needed a little.
So here's how I accomplished this. I put the stencil down, and then this is Pan Pastels. Okay? And pulled it with the red-orange, which, I'm just kind of...
Oh, wait. What's Pan Pastel?
Pan Pastel.
Oh, there.
Here. So I have this down. You can still see it's the same color.
Well, thank goodness you didn't do that on stream. I'm sure that took you a little bit.
I whizzed through it pretty fast.
Oh.
I have my big fat brush.
Okay. Size matters, y'all.
It does. In so many situations. And anyway, I think this is just really an interesting. I don't know that it's the end print.
No, but it's a good.
I just think it's really very dynamic. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this over the top of this. And this is where
Becky was excited to see her ampersands.
Well, here's why. and this is what you want to think about. When you have a stencil underneath and you do want to capture more of it, go for your fat ones, your fat lines, rather than, you know, this little, you know, I have these all in line up here, and I'm thinking, oh, those are going to be just perfect, and I whack them off and knock them off and whatnot. So you can see a whole different effect here. But I want to capture more of that featheriness. And so I am going to use that. Now, I really need this stencil in the one that goes clear out to the edge.
Okay.
I'm really, you know.
That's the circle stream.
Yeah. And I need a new one of these because I've already torn up.
Let me tell you about zaps. Yeah, that happens to zaps a lot. You just need to know what you're getting yourself into.
Every time I pull this off, I bust another.
It gets zapped.
It gets zapped, and you can tell because it's kind of getting wonky. And whatnot. But boy, do I love this! This is such a cool stencil.
Hello, Christina.
I don't know how you can rectify that problem with those. No,
you can't. It is what it is. That's why.
See here, this one's broken. This one's broken. This one's broken. This one.
Some designs.
I try to be gentle.
It has nothing to do with that. If you want sharp lines that are thin, that are going into each other, it is what it is.
Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe you can see it's been stuck down. See the paper stuck?
That's probably.
That might have something to do with it.
Although, could help with the reinforcement.
I really thought about, you know, using my tape.
Hi, Maritza.
My tape method, but I don't know if it's going to be the same little. Okay, so you're going to get me.
Oh, okay. Hey, Monroe. He says he doesn't have any transparent paint. What you need to get is one of these mediums, like a glaze. She really loves the airbrush medium the most, I think.
Yes, and the satin glazing. The reason I like this to have this is, see, this is slow drying.
So Ricky Normar, because she's out there in Arizona and her stuff is drying as soon as she puts it down on the plate in that 110, you know, no humidity.
Okay, so the gloss glazing liquid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't
this
do
is
water.
Gloss. This is satin.
Yeah.
Now you can, because you know I do use these, but the problem is when you just use water, you get a lot of that crazing effect.
It also breaks down the paint.
It's smelly.
It breaks down the paint. If you want to get real sciencey about it, get yourself over to Golden's website. They will explain to you why and how much water, you know, in ratio can be added safely, not to break down the different binders that are in whatever type of paint that you have. Obviously, there's a specific to Golden paint, but you can apply that knowledge beyond.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to just go ahead because I've already got this out. I promise you I'm going to...
Exactly, Pia. Exactly.
I will show you how to opacify your
Shannon.
Transparent paint.
Hello, Miriam.
And what Mariah said is absolutely true. And I watched Joshy. The reason you struggle with this is because, see the edges of this green mat? They stick to your plexiglass when you pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so each time you kind of have to reposition if you want to have a true
square it up
rectangle there that is going to be where you think it is.
Mm-hmm. It's a little crooked right now, but that's okay. I'll deal with it.
Is it?
A little bit. In the screen it is. I think it's fine on it. Plus the plates, or the gel plate itself is a little wonky.
And let me tell you what, getting those sticky suckers down on the plate just so is just not, you know, an easy task. Okay, that's as good as it's going to get.
All right, I shall deal with it. You're doing a good job. I would like you all to know that P very much missed me.
I did. I just told her. I said, you know, because I don't know if you know, it's me trying to get things from the boys when I did the Thirsty Thought thing. Dear Lord,
they're not chatty.
It was like, pulling teeth.
It's a skill set that I have, this chattiness.
It
annoys some, but it's helpful at times.
Okay, so we have talked about opaque and whatever. What we're going to do here is we're going to do an experiment with my favorite, two colors, just turquoise and orange. And we're going to use some of the and this is, you can see, fairly, depending on how thick you put it on here. And I don't know what's going to happen out here in these areas.
Hi, Emma. So painting again, Sandy. She's pondering making a large gel plate. Has yours actually done that? We've not ever made a plate.
No, I'm not. That isn't.
But if you want to know more about that, I know there are quite a few folks over in Makers. That's the Makers and Mixed Media Art in our Facebook group. That's our Facebook group. That would be able to be very helpful on some tips and tricks, because I know that there are lots of different ratios of things to add to it so it doesn't get weird, all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. None of which I know directly, therefore I should not be, giving out that information, other than you should go to Makers and ask folks. And actually, even you could search Makers, just because I know it's been talked about before. That's how I know what I do sort of know. Hi, Irma.
This is really tricky when you pull this up to not get, to mess up your whatever there.
Miriam says she made it once, failed twice. I don't know how that. One attempt, 2 times. I love that. Yeah, that was funny. Lizzie Jean says Joshy cracked her, his brayering cracked her up.
Oh my God, wasn't it painful? Oh. And it's all wonky, and the paint is interfering with his brayering off because he's just got them all hither and yon here. Oh my goodness.
Wait,
very stressful.
The thing is you just make it look so easy because you're such a professional.
I'll take it.
You'll take it?
I'll take it.
Okay. You should. It is true. But sometimes,
I hope you all
just because you know things.
And I'll tell you what, I am not backing off on Joshy. I told him yesterday, I said, if you don't give him any money, don't give him his paycheck until he goes in and answers any of the...
I don't know that legally we can do that. But...
Well, you know what? Just sue me.
I'll let him know that
that it's... you can say that I'm the one that...
litigious. Is that... all legal things need to be... But yeah, they need to go back. Caleb did answer some of the comments and things.
Caleb did a good job.
There's still some he needs to go, but there's 2 streams and...
Okay, check it out.
Oh, that's really... I think that was a fabulous move. One of the things here, so P used the... hold it up again, the paint that you used. Here is the beauty of these... And they're just craft paints. Like, they come in a set. They are very reasonably priced. There's all sorts of brands.
I don't know if it's from France. You would not pronounce the back part, but I'm just saying if it's German, it's Abier.
It's not either
and
of those.
Aqua Flash is the color. It's premium. I don't know what that means. Diddly squat. But yeah, that's a good one. I like this one. Now, we're going to let this dry all the way, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to pull a tiny bit more of the pan pastel. I don't know.
Most likely it is not going to come up because she's already done the one pull with it. Most of the time with the pan pastels, because that's what's left behind there, is going to have to be pulled off by cleaning the plate.
This was left over from the one that I kept getting lots of. Isn't it beautiful?
It really is.
I think it's. And I told Joshy, I said, Joshy, I had to pull some of your prints that you put down because I needed the place. He didn't think to be too terribly invested in that.
Exactly, Rhonda. Now, Alice says, shouldn't Josh be able to make his own mistakes? I think failure is one of the best ways to learn.
It absolutely is.
It's just sometimes painful to watch.
And you know, when it keeps happening over and over again, that's kind of that's the other thing that kind of
it's a little extra.
Plus, you know,
a little extra frustrating.
I have just because you know he's watched a lot.
She had higher expectations.
I did.
He had done it before.
Yeah, and you know,
but it'd been a little bit
just lording it over Caleb on his. He was.
I think he was also feeling
a little bit threatened.
Oh, and he does not like that.
No,
that's a Nathan trait. That is. I don't know if it's genetic. But yeah.
I think that this is absolutely. I think it's fabulous.
You know what?
You can see the little feather eye things in there. This was what was left. This was the final leavings.
You know what goes them? I see like you're looking through the water. It's the koi fish.
Oh, it's a great. But look at all those little,
and their little bubbles, and you know, just the speckling. It's very abstract.
Okay, well, showing you this is a great segue into what we're going to do here, and I'm going to show you how this happens. And what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead, even though...
Gray, it kind of depends on what you want to get. She says, do you use the shiny side or the dull side of the exam paper? You can use either or. You're going to get more crisp, like, design, you know, whether you're drawing on it or pulling or whatever. It's going to be a crisper design on the slick side. Typically. If you're going to wet paint, may not necessarily matter. If that makes any sense. If it's really wet, it's just going to blur out anyway, no matter what. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Depending on the dryness of the design, but you will get a crisper design on the slicker side than the rougher side. The rougher side pulls better because it actually grabs a bit better.
And that, but you know, it's like such a minute.
It's very subtle.
Minute difference. Yeah. Now I want to address this because I think this is something that's important.
That is 100%. Okay, this is perfect. And then, you know, we can, you know, stop bashing on the poor boys. Feeling, and they're not here to defend themselves or whatever.
Really should not, because I think that they did a remarkable job. And when someone who has been doing it, like Mariah said, as long as I have, and makes it look easy, it is frustrating. And it was for me when I first started. I would watch people and I was going,
why am I not getting these results?
Yes. Why is this not happening?
They rolled out the paint. They did this thing. I did that. Why am I not doing
the fact that you figure out, you know, having your paints within reach, putting them back so you can get them quickly. A lot of times that's important. Having your brayer off over here and not having to find a piece of paper to brayer off on. And having your paper over here ready and queued up.
Right. Okay.
Those are all so important.
So Rhonda called it very, you know, this is like spot on. She says, it seemed to me that Caleb was more about the colors and the end result, where Josh was more about throwing colors at it. Like, he's just really kind of into the movement
process
and the thing.
And that is
really
exactly.
wasn't cared about. Like, he did not have specific goals in mind. He was really having the experience. That's different than where Caleb had ideas and he wanted specific things. Plus, he is more interested, just as a, you know, as people. Caleb is more interested in the art of it versus the experience of it.
I think that's an excellent way to put it. And, you know, there's no, however you approach it, if you're getting something out of it and it for you is an satisfying experience, who am I to judge? You know,
although she will.
I will.
That's just,
but
that's her.
I'm just saying, when I have to sit here, if I didn't have to watch it, I don't care.
All for it.
All for it. But here I wanted to point something out because I think this is really important. I love this velvety quality of the Jackson's Studio Phthalo. Well, it comes in other colors too, but you know what I'm talking about. I really do love it. It has a whole different patina than if I use these. These are, you can see the shininess of them. These have a lovely surface quality to them that is not the same as this. And this flat velvety paint has is a beautiful contrast in surface quality.
Yeah.
That's something else to keep in mind.
Oh, and Colleen, that is so sweet. She says, I dare say that there are a lot of teenage boys that would never be caught helping out family like that, exposing themselves to public humiliation, perhaps. Yeah, and we never know if their friends are going to show up or whatever.
Caleb said he blocked a couple of his friends who were making inappropriate.
Oh.
I don't know if you all saw them before they were gone, but, you know, the teenage boys, and I had a really very serious talk with Luke about making, you know, they think everything is funny. And I said, that's not so. And I was kind of hard on him, and I feel a little bit bad, and I will talk to him again about it. You have to be careful what comes out of your mouth that you think is funny. You need to run it by and gauge your audience. They don't do that. It's just a verbal diarrhea. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And yeah,
This could also be a genetic thing.
This is true. Poor kid.
We're all trying to be better people.
Oh, we are working at it. Okay, so we're gonna go. Are we gonna go with our creamsicle? I think we should, just because.
Yeah, people do want to see it, and I think that it's important that you can make that connection, and it all happened in one stream. What?
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'll tell you what. This Era paint.
Okay.
I love this stuff because this little nozzle here. Era.
Era is spelled E-R-A.
Era.
Because it's like.
Ara.
Yeah, because like if it was A-R-E, it would be R.
A-R-A. However
Ara.
you say it. Okay, I'm really tired of.
I know.
You know.
I know.
That.
Being a Dinah. Pebio. Pebeo. Pebio.
Well, and we had a little discussion about that because, yeah, I think Caleb used to. Okay, now this has no, what do I want to say? Open qualities to it at all. So what we're going to do in order to make this a little more.
And the dotting pattern does matter.
Yes, it does.
I mean, you want
the
to dot.
distribution. Yeah, you can't just squirt it out there like a penguin poop. That would just crack me up. Izzy thought that was fascinating.
They've had multiple conversations regarding penguin poop.
Okay, so what I discovered was instead of just flopping this out here, I needed to be a little bit more selective about how I placed my open paint out here rather than just in big, blobs down here on the end, which is what I usually do. So that I get a little bit more of that feathery feel.
They are really wonderful paints.
Okay. Izzy's buddy. I've got her.
Oh yes, P pointed to the O for open paints because she marks on there because we got those through the Golden Seconds program, and so it's been a little bit of a learning curve. Even though like some are marked, some aren't marked, and some are still a little questionable.
Yeah, I don't really know. I can use that again. I'm not gonna throw that. Ow, hurt my finger.
The white stuff was the open, right? Open, yes. Of the golden, like titanium white. Heavy body.
Yeah, and you can see there's a lot of it out there. No worries.
This is where a lot of paint kind of good for this particular process.
And we're going to go ahead and use, where's my eyes? Damn it.
I love that, Pam.
All right.
That's kind of where we're at with certain things.
So I'm putting this down with the, really the painty side.
Yeah.
Okay. Painty side.
And
we're going to go ahead and use our copy paper. And I'm going to have to work really hard.
This is 32 pounds.
And it's not flimsy and squishy.
Now, why she's saying that she's going to have to work really hard with this is because it is like, it is a regular copy paper. And so you've got to get really like a...
Yes, I'm going to spend a lot, and I'm using the concave.
You got to get down in there.
Some people say, you know, I use my fingers to get down in there. Well, when you have stiff paper like this, that isn't going to make a diddly squat difference. You've got to just power it in there and really push.
Yeah, and there's an affiliate
if
link.
If you're using tissue paper, you can use your fingers to work it down in there.
Or a little napkin, you know, if you don't want, if it's, you know, if the paint's really thick, it's going to be coming through if you're using a tissue paper. So a napkin is a nice way to still give that pressure that you need, but then not get all painty. And sometimes you got to be careful with that paint coming through a tissue paper because you'll rip, because you'll catch on it. So that's why it's kind of nice to utilize a kitchen towel or napkin to kind of run across the surface. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Isn't that
it's like it's been kind of burnt in there, you know?
Yes. Okay, it still has plenty, so here's number 2.
Oh, that's right. So Jenny, yeah, and Mo will probably have a recommendation because I think there is a different brand that a lot of the folks over there in the UK use because, yeah, the Hammer Mill brand, because they ship it from the US, so there's no sense. But you guys have a brand within the UK that is comparable. So really any kind of premium presentation type paper or premium copy paper, that's what you're looking for. And a baren is this wooden tool that you see here. Mo,
yeah, and if you order one of these and you want to be able to do what I'm doing here, just request. Anthony will do anything you want done.
I don't know that he will do anything that you want.
Well, that is in his skill
set.
And he has quite the skill level.
Yeah. So, yes, that's the baren. There's a link in the chat to Anthony's Etsy shop, and you can message him, and he will work with you about size and the different things.
And if you have a big hand or a small hand, you can just, you know, send him a handprint or whatever, and he can make it happen.
Yeah.
Because he's very
very skilled. Mm-hmm. Eddie prefers the napkin frottage versus a bare hand. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you have to be careful when you use the open paint. Don't be putting them on top of each other because then you get into another hole. And I'm just trying to get these lined up here so I don't have a problemo with this. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm looking down here and I'm saying, okay, let me see. Is this ready to come up? And I'll tell you what, the drying conditions today. Here's what I notice. Where the white is, it's it's still there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in a circular motion, and I don't know if but I'm just anticipating that I'm going to be picking up some of those. And remember, some of the holes are kind of closing up.
Yes. She needs a new one. Plus, it just gets thicker, which makes it harder to do this type of technique anyway. Okay, wonderful. Karen says HP LaserJet Premium presentation in the UK. There you go. Oh, yeah, that's right. And Susan was the one who brought Anthony to us, and then we just grabbed him up and.
Okay, now this is looking kind of spotty or whatever. Don't care about that. That's not an issue.
And he
Okay.
sometimes is here in the
So
streams.
we're keeping this. This is our, and I don't know if I've got it distributed enough that I can get as much as I did off of my other one.
Right.
But let's get this.
Yeah.
Let's pick up this very quickly.
I've had a twitch in my eye for like 2 days. I didn't wear my glasses a bunch. Yesterday, I think. And I think it's making my eyeball just a little angry at me. I love that. It's like little puffs of smoke down at the bottom, and then it's like, you know, the.
You can see that. It just kind of cracks me up because it's like. Not a particularly impressive print, so we're not feeling too bad if it doesn't come out like we want it to. That's as you know, when you queue them up, you know, just put a bunch out there. That's what I do. Boy, I'm really going through them today.
Should I tell the folks about my pearls yesterday?
Only one person got it.
Yeah, so I wore this pearl necklace that P made, and it looked really great with the outfit and everything. And I said, plus, you know, it's always nice to have your pearls on in case you need to clutch them. P thought it was hilarious, and so, you know, I'm at the campaign event thing, and Yusuf, who is part of the campaign, and he's all of 20 years old, and I said it to him, and it totally just. He just kind of looked at me like with a blank stare, and I'm like, well, that wasn't really the that wasn't the reaction I was hoping for. I said, you should probably get yourself learned up, or, you know, note up on that. And he was like, okay. And then Evan, the guy running for Congress here in our area, he came in, and I told it to him. He sort of chuckled, and I'm like, Evan, you really needed to give me more than that. And he said, I'll do better next time. Something along those lines. And then so I was outside. I'm like, I'm going to give this one more try. This one lady came in. And we're standing there chit-chatting. And I said, yeah, you know, like, I'm excited to be there or whatever. And I said the thing about the pearls. And she just laughed. And I said, Peggy, thank you for that. That's really the reaction I was looking for. And she's like, I'm so pleased that I could give that to you. Do they? I guess they don't, but Peggy did, and she was on it, man. I was so happy. It made me.
I'm happy. Getting a new sheet because I really want you to be able to appreciate the fine line details we've got going on here. And it's like I said, you know, you never know from day to day. I'm not getting as many prints from this one. But, you know, I didn't really use as much white as I did with that first one. And the fact that it was more equally distributed might have something to do with, but I can still see there's plenty on there, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Now, this is what's coming off of the stencil. Isn't that gorgeous?
That's pretty. That is so pretty. You know, that reminds me of that one glazing technique on pottery, you know, where it kind of, you know, you just know that it has like that slicky texture, but like there's dimension to it.
And if you notice, you're getting shiny, you're getting
a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now, I didn't do this one. This is the rub off onto the plate rather than paper.
Yeah, Bobby. Oh, and hello, Bobby. Yeah, you know, you can flop off onto the gel plate.
Yeah, we've done that. That's pretty cool too. It's kind of hard for me here because I don't have a flat surface that I can actually.
And then this is a rub off onto the gel plate.
And you can pick it up and you can look and you can say, okay, well, I need to hit it a little bit more there.
Nice thing is it stays in place.
Yeah.
Which is because this is a little harder to do whenever you have to hold it to a piece of paper. So, yeah.
All right. Now the trick on this is to let this one that we just put down dry. We'll see if we can get some of this off on our sprayer off over here.
I think we should all meet up in Europe at some point in time. I was telling Miriam about that. We should all just meet in Spain at some point and hang out.
Or Portugal.
Portugal. She wants to go to Portugal.
I think Portugal is more economically feasible. It's not as expensive as Spain.
Okay.
That's what I think. I don't know that for sure.
She read it somewhere one day, and that's.
I read it somewhere. Plus, I want to listen to fado singers in Portugal. Oh, they probably have those in Spain too, but
yeah.
All right, I know it's really hard for you to see that. Let me see if I can get my piece of black paper down here. But we're still picking up remnants of the white, little white spots out there.
I would love to go to Australia. It is extremely expensive because we looked into it.
I know there are so many nature places I want to go.
Izzy would lose her ever loving mind. She just she wants to live in Australia.
I just, you know, sometimes I'm kind of like they have a lot of different stinging.
Yeah, I do want to live in Australia.
See?
All right, now. Where's my, okay, we're going to just go ahead and do this. And then I'll get them all and show you. Huh? No, honey, I didn't. I meant to put it on, though, because I got it in there.
Where is it?
It's on my dresser, if you want to get it.
Oh, I know. Paige, we've actually talked about that before. Turning some of these prints into fabric. And I know there are some places online that you can have that done. I wish a company would reach out to me and, you know, just say, hey, we'll do that for you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, so I lost one of my favorite bracelets yesterday. It come unhooked and we don't know where it is. I'm hoping it's in the sack of clothing that Caleb has. But Izzy made me this one to help me feel better about losing it.
Isn't it beautiful? And I think some of those beads that y'all said.
You can put a little face on there or something, Gigi. And I said, oh, I can, honey.
You feel my neck pop? Okay.
She is just, you know, Izzy is a very thoughtful person. I love that quality. And I told you what she told her little friend who's ADD.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think that that's very, it's certainly a lot more aware than some of these teenagers I've been dealing with here lately.
Well, I hate to give it to them as an excuse, but I mean, teenagering is hard.
Yeah, but I don't think you should make it. I don't think you should make excuses for crappy behavior, whatever the reason. Now, can you see? That's the other thing that is possible at the very end of this thing. Now, we are still getting, and I've got 3 soaking. I need to get a cat litter thing so that I can put these in flat and soak the stuff off, and then I won't have to have you make it.
Well, don't you have the bin in there? Or it's not big enough?
It's not big enough. They don't lie flat.
Did you?
Okay, so this is a good step, you know, towards the next layer.
Hello, Chiquita.
Okay, so we've got that one.
Well, we have lots of folks that want us to come to Australia, so.
that want us to come.
Y'all gonna put us up?
Yeah.
Because that could certainly help.
If you go to
You gotta have to take the whole family.
You you be bringing me, not Daddy. You'll be bringing me.
Well, I think we would all go. You know, it'd be a big old family trip. You gotta.
Then Popsy.
Even Popsy, maybe, I don't know. He probably wouldn't want to go. Just simmer down. Okay, go. Yeah.
Okay, so this is one, and I can't put anything on top of it because the white spots out there
are still
are
dry.
still wet. Now, this is pretty dry. This one, there's some spots. So there's 3, 4, and this is, you can see this is really wet. It's still shiny. But that will probably stay shiny because that is the glossy nature of the white,
Oh, yeah.
titanium white. And see, it says here, slow drying acrylic. Drying time increases with thickness. Layers over 1/16, 2 millimeters, dry extremely slowly. It is not suitable for exterior surfaces. Visit Golden Paints.
And you really should. Like, if you want to get super nerdy about paints, go to their website, go to the references area. That's where you can learn about all the different mediums, what they do. Now, there's nothing better than experiencing the actual medium.
Yeah.
Because that is, the proof is in the pudding here, for sure.
Okay, so we've got 5. Well, we got a little bit off on this one, but remember, this was not that much. We'll go ahead and hit that one again with something later. But I think even this right now is interesting.
Yes, I like it. And you're getting some oohs and ahs. Actually, got really big oohs and ahs from Darcy. Love it. 4 is amazing.
And I think what is so cool about this process is the variety of stencil responses that you get here. Oh, sorry, 6. I didn't count the black responses. One. Stencil responses.
Mm-hmm.
Because it, you know, depending on, like this one, is just kind of a little hit here and there.
It's a little spurts.
Yeah. But that's going to be interesting as it progresses and we get some more stuff on it. I don't know that we'll be able to do that today.
Okay, I'm going to hold up for 1 second here. Okay. We're at, you've got basically an hour left. And then I just want to say welcome to those of you that have come in. Do say hello in chat so we can say hello back. Otherwise, we do not know that you are here, and we like to know that you are here because we are an arty friendly bunch of folks. If you don't do that, then I don't know you're here, and I can't say hello to you. But if you want to hang out in the background, that's totally fine. But give those thumbsy upsies if you haven't already. Very much is helpful to us as a channel. Like Jerry said, we are at about 11,200 and something, which is very exciting. One of these days, we would love to be at 100,000. Little ways to go. We'll get there. And then I get a play button. And I say I get a play button because that's what I want. He could care less.
I don't even know what that means.
She still doesn't know what it means.
I mean,
I need validation.
Basically, my give a carer.
Right.
But
we are just happy that y'all show up. And I know that's a long, long way away, but I just want you to know I have goals. I feel like that's, you know, being upfront and honest about all that. Okay. Cheers.
Now, very quickly before we go on, I'm going to, I think I want one more stripe of something here on this one. So
and Pam, the ginger cat lady, she wants to reach 500. So if you haven't subscribed to some of these folks here in the chat.
Yes, please go over and do that, ginger cat.
Hey, they show up for us. We're going to show up for y'all. We keep telling y'all that.
Okay, this one we're going to put some more on it. We're going to put some more on this one.
Goals.
We're not going to put some more on this one because I happen to think this one's exceptionally fine.
Yes.
I'm leaning towards not anything on that one right now, but I may change my mind at some point in time. These two. I've got these.
I love it, Lizzie Jean. All right, so y'all got to get over to Margie's and to Lizzie Jean's if you haven't. And, of course, you know, Darcy, Eddie, Miriam, Let's see, who else do we got here? That's Chiquita. I know she streams, or well, I don't know if Chiquita streams or do you do videos?
We're going to go over that one again.
Mhm.
I think this one needs...
Caleb's here. Hey, we were talking about you,
Hey,
Caleb.
Caleb.
Hi, Caleb.
Hey, did you find my bracelet by any chance in your stuff?
Did you find a bracelet? Did you dig through your sack of stuff? Do you want to come over and show your
Yes, come over.
Not right now, because I don't think you'd make it here in time for us to show all the things. You probably need a good, well, I don't know, maybe a good 30 minutes. Anyway. They're all very excited about the
The thrift.
haul.
I tried to, but there's nothing like seeing it. Now, this is the other thing that I need to talk to my little proteges about. When you are brayering off.
Oh, she is so super judgy about this. Don't even, because she gave me
I
judgy
gave
about
Mariah,
it. Yeah, she gave me a real hard time about it.
If you go out to the edge on all of these sides here, you get a much nicer area.
When did you learn that?
Just probably the last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I went a long time.
She went a long time.
Yeah.
So she can't give anybody to do about that.
I really can't. And there are ways around this. I will show you that. You can actually put
all
this back
fixable.
down and do some more brayering on it.
Uh-huh.
And
Hey, Liz.
yada yada. Okay. So what I have learned here to do this. Now this is really interesting because this has got a lot of stuff on it. This was from my feather making business. This is interesting because you see this stripe down the middle? Remember that one that I showed you and I said, it had more contrast down the middle?
Hey,
This
Caleb
one.
said, did you ask the lady when checking out to grab her jewelry basket? Something of that nature.
Yeah, I got my jewelry.
Yeah, but she lost like one of her actual bracelets.
Bracelet that I wore. And it's a really cool one because it has some really high dollar sterling silver stuff from Thailand on it that I can't replace. Makes me very sad, but if somebody found it and that's cool too. I can live with that.
Yeah.
Makes
Hi,
me
Juliet.
sad. And the thing about it is it was a 3-strander, and making a 3-strand bracelet
Very tricky.
it's very labor intensive. And plus you have
Hey,
to
Cat.
find the right beads and
I'm not
yada,
going to ask
yada.
her that because I'm just going to come back in here and just
What is
make
it?
us all crazy. Nothing.
What? Gotcha. Okay, now where's my ampersand?
Becky says that's a really nice stack of prints, P.
I know. And we're going to make these more better. If I have, and I told Josh I had to pull some of his, this may be another one of his. And I've got to move this dadgum piece of paper that is hanging over here. I really
Yeah,
need.
this needs to be dealt with. I think you just need to pull the whole thing and then put it at the top. I don't like this. She's going to get a paper cut or a bonk on the head.
This is the paper that Caleb used for his
Oh, the Jack Richardson.
his final print.
Jack Richardson printmaking paper. Very heavy duty stuff. Has a little bit of a texture to it, but it is lovely.
Okay, I think this is one of Josh's.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
There towards the end, he was getting some really good results on his paint colors that he was choosing. He was trying, and I thought it was cool. He wanted to go through as many stencils as he could to show them. And that was so sweet. That was just so sweet.
See, he's more of a marketing boy than a arty boy.
Yeah. Anyway, and his choice of colors were all not mine, which I thought was good too, to show people,
Yeah. Variety, the spice of life.
Variety is the spice of life. Okay, now we all understand that this is not a final print here. But it could be incorporated into something collagey. But I'm going to let Joshy decide that. I'm not going to decide that for him. I'll put that over here.
Well, maybe we should try to have them in like once a month or something.
Yeah. All right. Did you see what happens there with the paper?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to keep it. I don't need that water there.
Jerry says, I keep my colors handy so I can make the right mud.
You know, I made a lot of mud.
Yes, you did.
I should really show you some
We
of
really
my
should.
early. Because I did keep some of them. It's a humbling experience. Okay, we're going to remove some of this stuff because I don't think it's going to help my...
Oh, yeah, we need to take that down. Because I think we're all caught up and good to go.
What is that?
Okay. The banner on our website. I'll message Brad right now.
And I have learned taking this bone thing and burnishing that tape down there helps pull it up better than just my finger. See that? So I've whacked the camera.
Yeah, thank you to the boys for, like, seriously, like, without their help, it would have taken us longer to catch up for sure. And it's just so nice to have them available for that.
They're good little workers. And I'm going to donate to Caleb my sticky plates.
Sure, come on over, Liz. Just shoot like frozen.
And he can use them too. And you know what we should do? We should just give him that box of
Oh, Jenny, have you seen our color wheel download over on the website? Mo will probably put that link in. In fact, there's a whole blog post about it, and then there's also a downloadable version and explanations of the color wheel that P always draws. This is the one when she was teaching all the way from elementary school on up to high school. This is how she would teach the color wheel, and it is it's an easy, accessible one. Hopefully that she loves to draw it too.
The point, and I would have my first graders do this. Yellow is always at the top, right?
Yeah, Pam, 25 years. Elementary all the way up to high school. Junior high was her favorite.
Yellow, red, and blue. And then you do an opposite triangle. And I taught myself this because when I took art at Texas Tech, I hadn't had any art classes at all.
She was English.
Was totally self-taught. That's kind of a scary thing. So, primaries are round circles. Secondary colors are squares. And the only thing you have to remember are the primary colors. Everything else you can figure out. Get that out of the way. Okay, yellow and blue makes green. I use lowercase letters. My kids, I would tell them that. That's important. And red and yellow makes orange. Red and blue makes violet. Now, sometimes they call them tertiary. I call them intermediate. And the reason is because it makes sense. The symbol that we use here, or the shape, is a pie. It's going in there. So it's intermediating between the violet and the blue. You know the name of this color because you always start with the primary. Primary is first.
This is teacher mode. Oh, Pam was an elementary school teacher for 25 years too. Just retired in February.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what.
She says that explains why you were so patient with the boys. Well, those are also, grandsons and relatives, so, there's a little less.
Yellow, orange.
She was nicer. She got better. Actually, when she started, she was about that mean. Because I had her that very first year. It was a little traumatizing.
I know that first year teachers, everybody has to go through the first years to learn. It's a learning curve for everyone. But that's how you do that. Now, that being said, okay, so over here I was talking and doing it at the same time.
This is what you can download.
I reversed my blue. But the thing about it is, it doesn't matter which side the blue and the red is on. But in most color wheels, the red will be over here. Doesn't make any difference. Sometimes they don't even put the yellow at the top.
It's circular.
Yeah. And the whole thing about it is when you learn how to do this, you immediately know, okay, my yellow's too bright. I can add a little bit of violet to my yellow to tone that yellow down. Mm-hmm. And this is interesting. We got this shirt, and Caleb I could just see the look on his face. He was like, oh my God, I would never use that color. I said, Caleb, we can dye it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and if y'all don't know that RIT has synthetic material dye, and we've done it, we did it with we did a whole batch of purple stuff, and it's fabulous. We've never used it before.
No.
But
we were
highly recommend. Yeah, we
were
suspicious
about that working. They said it did, but until we tried it.
Yeah, we don't, we just don't believe just anybody.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm putting my stencil down first. Why? Because I want to I want blank underneath my stencil. This took me, Mariah can attest to this, forever to figure this out. I mean, I would have to mentally go through and think it through each time. Mm-hmm. But now I don't. But look at the lovely patina that's developing on that. Mm-hmm. And the reason I put that side down is, can you see that one has less paint on it?
No, Rhonda, actually what we did is, because I have this huge pot that we used to do like crawfish and stuff in. So with the synthetic stuff, you got to get the temp up pretty high. And our washing machine doesn't get that hot. And I guess we could have probably poured it in there.
Our new washing machine is...
You just calm down. I will explain it. Okay, old school washing machines were way better for the dyeing process. They just were, because you could turn it off and you could just let it sit there as long as, whatever. These new machines, you don't always have that luxury, or it's just way trickier.
Yeah, and you can't lift up the lid and look at it.
It makes us very... if you hit the button too many times, then it clears out the water. It's just very frustrating. Before, it used to be this you remember the pull and push button thing, and then it was wonderful, and you could just do the thing and let it sit there for days if you wanted. Sometimes that happens to other people.
Now, we talked about, well, enough of that. If you can find yourself an old washing machine, it's almost, and I would say if we could set one up out in the garage.
Listen, lady.
Oh, no. They don't want to hear that.
No, we don't. We don't have the setup for, the plumbing isn't there for it. You know what I mean? I guess we could run hoses.
I don't really think it'd be. Okay, I'm using a little bit more paint than I would like probably to use. Yeah. Just simply because, now, I've changed my mind. I don't want to go over this strip of orange here because this is opaque. See the little thing down here at the bottom? That little black square? Took me a long time to figure out what that was all about, too. It is totally, it will. Now, you can brayer it out so it's not so... I don't have any place to put this because all this... Oh,
exactly, Jennifer. When we get that whole building and whatever, we'll have, things like that on site. Be fabulous. Yeah, Danish Farmer says her new washing machine plays a whole little song. Ours plays a little song when you start it. Do-do-do-do-do.
And if it doesn't play the song,
it's not starting.
Yeah. Make sure you brayer out to your edge. And it took me a long time to figure that out. I was watching Josh the other day, and I wanted to say something, but you know, sometimes I think it frustrates a new learner the more you are
Hollering at them, yeah. 100%.
mentioning things that
Mentioning things. Yeah.
And that was really okay. You want to get that up. If you're using plain paper that doesn't have any paint on it, don't allow your stencil to sit on it, because then you will have a pulling up situation there that we don't want. Hoping I can hook that where it's my.
Because I'm not doing that right now.
Now, this one I had to cut off of that. You heard me, Mariah said I was eating peanuts. I was ripping off the edge of my paper, because this one was one of those, and you want to be careful about this when you're doing that, where you're taking your wipey things over here and rubbing them. You have a tendency to saturate your paper a lot, and I pulled a corner off. But that's not the end of the world, so somebody will just receive a shorter card.
It's like, you know, you're not getting the short straw. This is getting the short card.
Interesting. And there you go. Look at that. And you can see in some places where it was a little thinner, okay, now I'm running out of places to put stuff, and that's going to be the next little issue here. A really nice flop off here. I'm sorry that it got a little wonky there, but my brayer was in the way, and I didn't have a hand coming out of my forehead to pick that up and move it about the cabin. Okay, now this that's on here, you know, it's not enough to really do something. I'm going to try to pick it up and just create a new. This is why you never run out of gel prints.
Well, Jenny, please ask questions. I mean, if there's something that needs to be talked about, I think one of the things that gets a little, it's tricky, especially doing this live, is that, especially like with this fluid paint, it dries very quickly. You need to move. Like, she's got to keep at it. Otherwise, that's going to dry on the plate, and then that's a whole different thing. So if there is something that's happening during the streams, please do not hesitate to say, okay, whoa, can you repeat that? Or, you know,
like, or at least talk about it. Because sometimes you saw when I did almost exactly the same thing. But the humidity today is different than the other day.
Yeah.
So I wasn't getting those good. Plus, I probably used maybe a little bit more white paint the other day. There's so many variables.
Even how long you've been, you know, so a lot of people will reference like warming up your plate. That does make a difference. Like how much other paint has been put down, how clean the plate is, just all those variations really come into play.
I try to keep up with that as I go. You know, you never can get it all up without the tape, but. And I don't know if that's going to be a.
Ooh. I mean, that's good 2 layers.
Yeah. This is the fluid acrylics are good picker-uppers. See how it pulled all of that off of there? And can you see the sheen of this? It's satin. Okay, that's going to be another. I mean, we've got, look what we just achieved here. We've got this one over here, and I want you to see what happened here when I brayered off on this.
I love that.
So now we've got 2 more prints to work with here. And they're okay because they're not, okay.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that, Liz. Yeah, and I was happy to hear that too.
What is it?
The postal strike in Canada, they got things worked out, so all good to go. And then there was still some notification about DHL, but we don't really, I mean, I think we've used DHL once, and that was to a different country.
Yeah, that was Mexico or South America or something.
Yeah, something like that, because that was the most
reliable that it was going to show up.
But sometimes.
Okay, so I've got this print here. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's got some interesting stuff going on here, and it's very vibrant.
Okay, so Jenny, let's slow down. Thanks,
Okay.
therapy. So she says with fluid acrylics, you don't need to let them sit and dry completely. Okay, well, here's the thing.
Yes and
no.
no.
I think this is probably where a lot of people say, oh, step 1 through 5, and then you have this type of print. We aren't very good at that sort of demonstration. That is not something that you're probably ever going to get from PM Artist Studio as a whole. What I can tell you is that, again, like, we're going to give you options and tell you more about. So what will happen with a fluid acrylic is they are a paint that will dry fairly quickly. So you can use that knowledge to say, all right, well, I'm doing a quick pull, so I know that I need to move it. If I want this to come up as much as it possibly can with the amount of time. Does that make sense? I hope so. Or you can always let any application, any layer dry and then pull it up later.
Yeah.
Now, some of those the variables that are in play there are how thick and how many layers are you trying to pull up. That will determine, hey, I know this about the type of paint that I probably want to use, which in that case, so you're talking about multiple layers dried onto the plate. You want to pull those. Well, you need something like a Lucas Krill.
Yes.
Like Pasto heavy body paint.
Yes.
Also, like, it's open, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I'm just, as Mariah's talking about that, I'm just looking at what I okay, I started off with transparent cobalt blue Liquitex, and the reason I put it in the jar was because the tube had sprung a leak. And in order to save the paint, I had to transfer it. So I mixed it with Hansa Yellow. Hansa Yellow is an opaque paint. Can you see the O there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's just to help my, old brain remember those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what you can see. It's not totally, when I mixed it up, I didn't get some of the side stuff, but we'll just avoid that.
Yeah, and there's no, there isn't really necessarily a right or a wrong. It's what do you want to achieve? And a lot of that's going to be determined even as you are gel printing. That's one of the reasons, again, we aren't like, hey, if you do this step, blah, 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 through whatever, you're going to get this. Because, again, we would be silly to try to determine that because there are so many factors at play.
And
there.
and you saw how I used exactly well, you didn't know that I used exactly, but I used exactly the same paints. I used exactly, okay, this is a lot more transparent than I thought it was going to be. That these things happen.
Mm-hmm. And
I
this paint is still so funky.
Use a teeny weeny bit more paint because now what I'm doing is I'm pulling off the paint. Let's see if we can make this work. We'll get another layer on here, which it will require more, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to do that. Where's my print? And as that is drying on there, I'm very quickly moving over here to get this off of the paper before it sticks to the paper. And boy, I'll tell you what, that was a close call there, folks.
One of the reasons she got away with that, if that was a brand new stencil, that wouldn't be what she got off of it.
It still has a little bit of paint on the back.
Yes.
But see the paper, the plain paper? that's where it sticks. It grabs onto that. Not if it has a painted surface, not so much. Okay, this is not anything to write home about, but it can be. And let's see what happens here. Oh, this is an excellent example. You can still see the design through the paint.
Mm-hmm. And paint to paint is going to be different than the paper to paint.
So this has that Hansa yellow open in there, and you will see that really is making a, and we're just going to grab this print here. Actually, it's just a brayer off. And we're going to pull up some stuff on it. This is something that you can do. You don't have to do the whole dadgum thing.
Yeah, Eddie and Paula are going somewhere together. I don't know what's happening. They're going grocery shopping together.
Well, we know what that was in.
Mm-hmm. It'll be 7 minutes. They're just like that.
Okay, we're pulling up the paint that's out here so that, you know, we will have. And I'm just, you know, willy-nillying it because this isn't, you know.
Oh, that's wonderful, Anne. She says, be willing to experiment. Take notes, but don't expect things to repeat. Be flexible. That is so true. And I guess maybe
remember, Jello, not
concrete. There's
okay.
a shirt for that.
We have a shirt for that. Actually, we've got a shirt for just about any situation.
Oh, Ricky, that is so sweet. She says, so for our new watchers, the more you watch, she's talking about us, the more you learn, cumulative effects kick in eventually. Because we always say that. Like, I know when people arrive here, it is a weird experience. I get it. Number one, just getting used to our personalities and how we run things. It's different. Hopefully that's a good thing. Maybe it's off-putting. That's okay. We're not, you know, you have options. And that's totally cool. This is how we approach things. It is over time. That's why we have the running joke. Is it 8 days, 8 weeks, 8 hours? Who knows? It's going to take a little bit. It takes time to, like, you know, this is all about the journey and not necessarily about the destination.
More. Can you see how it's crazy?
Yes.
That's because I needed to give it a shaky, and get the stuff to integrate.
Mixed in.
It's okay.
Hey, and Jenny, on the merch thing, thank you. We do appreciate that 100%. I would say watch TeePublic for the sales, because they may even have one going on right now. I know one was coming up, but it may have already come and gone. They kind of do these sales. Watch for those. That's really the best time to get.
Yeah, because
merch.
Sometimes you can get them for $15.
Yeah.
Okay, now while that's still out there, and it's not going to matter because I can pull it off at any stage. It doesn't matter. What I want you to notice over here is how where the paint was on the surface there sort of repelled that fluid acrylic that I went over and did my brayer off on. Isn't that cool? I think that's really cool.
I'll work on that, Jennifer. I like that idea. An 8 minutes, 8 days, 8 months shirt. It all works. It'll get done. Maybe. Woo woo. See, so from something that was like, okay, well, why would you even keep that? What were you doing with that? Seems like it was sort of just something you kept because, you know, keep things. Oh, I like something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Susan. She's like, so much to learn. Gel printing is not a 10-step process. As they said, there's so many variables and you will never get bored. That's one of the reasons P loves this. Because, like, she just, it's something new.
About the time that I start thinking I've got it figured out, you know, my paper gets stuck to the plate or the stencil or keeps you, the humility level there is easily, yeah, okay. I'm looking at this one over here, and I'm just thinking it needs some yellow. And I haven't used yellow today. That is one of the things that I really appreciate. Joshy was really willing to, he just tried all kinds of different color. And he would say, okay, we're not going to listen to P this time. I'm going to listen to the chat. I thought that was really cute.
Yes.
And this is Bismidazolone. Bismidazolone. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
We don't know, yeah. We call it Benzie yellow.
It's very bright, and it's very, very, very transparent.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Miriam says gel printing. It's not for wimps.
It really is not.
Yeah.
And it isn't for people who are into exact results.
Yeah, it's tricky. Not to say that you can. There are specific techniques that will yield more repeatable. But again,
now see, look, you saw that created from white paper to
yeah,
a really nice, I think, an interesting print.
No, I don't think that there is a right and a wrong side of the premium, the Hammermill.
I think it's
copy.
the same.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
Yeah, I really honestly do. Oh, I love that color. It's sort of, lime greened.
Yeah, it's
out the
I like
green,
it.
And then sort of oranged out.
I love orange and lime green. Both very creative colors.
I'm very pleased with that. Mm-hmm. I'm considering that. Okay.
Becky says mixed veggies. It does look like your carrots and your peas.
Oh, the one that I want is never,
Mm-hmm.
fighting them here. And I'll tell you this one. I don't know whether it's salvageable or not. If I can just, I don't know.
Hi, Lucy.
Do something completely different with that. Okay, so I've got the back side of this, which hasn't been subjected to paint. And this, even though this is a very wispy stencil, I have managed, and it's been subjected to some rather harsh conditions. I had to peel it off of another
2 hours.
Stencil, so even though it looks very wispy, it's really not. Okay, we're going to use white, but we're going to use the closed rather than the open. And just because I don't want to deal with a whole bunch of different, it'll be enough that trying to keep my palette knives cleaned off, because when I do use them to do butter, it's really nice if I don't have a crappy edge that I'm dealing with there. That's just FYI. And it's always a good idea to put the lid on your paint.
Yeah.
I didn't encourage the boys to use any of that.
Oh, okay. Moses, note that P crossed the O on this paint lid, so that is not open.
Yeah, see that? It even says closed. But when you see the O with the slash through it, thanks, Mo. But if you see a regular O, you know.
So if you aren't confused by the regular paints, indications of their transparency levels, just for added, things, we've got our own thing over here at P. Martin Studio.
Now, I still have paint on the
oh, Bobby, that's really sweet. So, Bobby boy, Bobby girl, or does it matter? Just saying. Okay, I wish I had found you sooner into my show plating. Maybe it was, I'm very glad I never gave up. I love my results now. I went down a very big rabbit hole, but was very frustrating because people would only show their beautiful prints. They wouldn't show you how many times they had to pull stuff that stuck or was not good. That's frustrating to a new person. We understand that. Yes.
And when I made that vow to myself.
And she says, so I love the way that you just tell it like it is. It's I'm always when I'm talking to people, if they say something about my print, I will say yes, and the only way you are going to see this is the way I don't know where it went from there. This way. And again, if you scan it. Oh, okay. Yes, I understand. So yeah, like the only way you're going to repeat something is if you scan it and then you have that exactly. You were, yeah, 100%.
Now, remember what this looked like? It had the feathers out there.
I like that. I think you kind of obliterated it a little more.
Well, I didn't really care because it wasn't all that interesting anyway. And this one certainly isn't interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I just say, every print that is not successful is only one layer away from being a work of art. And the only reason that I brayer off, see that blob that I was starting to get out there? That probably came out, see that? From the paint on the edge. Sometimes those jars will have those little chunks on the edge and you inadvertently get them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only time I clean off my brayer. That's when I get things on there that I'm thinking are going to be problematic later on. And these need to dry.
Well, I think a big part of releasing or moving past the frustration is just embracing that, okay, maybe this isn't the layer or the moment that this print or this layer on the gel plate is what I want it to be. But then that's why really understanding your paint is going to lead to less frustration.
Yes.
Because when you have direct expectations, you are going to get frustrated.
You are. And I think I can't stress that enough. That don't
wonderful Bobby.
Just go into it with the idea that you're just going to make some things happen here that have not thus far happened, and you're going to be happy with those results because it's a learning process. Okay, now I don't know if this is the thing to do, but I'm doing it anyway.
Okay.
I wanted to get rid of that white strip at the top.
Hello, Carrie Barnaba.
And the other thing, I can't stress this enough.
Hi, Gina.
Not only is you have to experiment with all of the viscosities because there's a place for every single one of them. And the only way you learn that is experience.
Yeah.
I can talk about it till the cows come home. And it's not going to be relevant unless you understand. Oh, there was a nice little hair there.
Squirrel.
Well, I'm still getting a little white line down here. And you all know that there's other ways to do that. You can come in with a diluted solution and just cover that up.
Oh, Paula, that's so
or
sweet.
you can just do what I'm doing here and you can just dab it up with your... And see, look at that. Much more interesting. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's bring this one back. Because I think... Yeah. Now, this green that's out here...
Yeah.
We're just not going to worry about that. That's going to turn kind of ooky. I want to hurry up and use the rest of this one because I'm tired of it.
Deep violet Liquitex. It's a wonderful color.
It is a wonderful color. And I'm down to the point where I need to split open the thing and access the tiny little bit. There's probably enough for a small gel plate hot down in there.
We'll get to that later.
I love this because it is it's a beautiful, beautiful, luscious color, and it smells so wonderful. I don't know why this smells good.
Something about
Because
this
some
one.
of them, stinky pink.
Stinky pink.
Stinky pink comes to you stinky. Some of it has to acquire some stink over the time, over a period of time. But stinky pink comes to you stinky. Now, if I put this down here just right, yeah, I don't really want the straight lines, or I could use something else to get.
Jen's favorite purple is the dioxazine purple. That's a good one too. He likes using that one.
Okay, I'm going to show you that in just a minute, but I want to. Whoops. Grab two here. I didn't want to do that. You notice I didn't rub a whole lot on that. That was intentional. Oh, this is quite a nice little piece of paper here. Look at that.
Look at that. And all the like colors go together. That's very rare.
Yeah, and I've got some nice little strips here that would be good for collage.
Mo was just mentioning.
I better retire this one.
I think Mo was mentioning that.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh no, that was Bobby. Okay.
I'm putting that over there.
All right, you got 9 minutes.
Look at that.
Awesome. I love that. And so that's 4 layers. I think that was the 4th.
I think that was 4. And we're going to come in with this one and pick up some of this stuff down here. Hopefully, it's not too dry. So we just have some, making it a little bit more interesting. But I want to bring this one back and show you what happens where the white, because there was a lot of white out there. Can you see that texture?
Yes.
Isn't that just...
It looks fuzzy. Almost. Like...
So even the pieces of paper that you have, because we no longer have feathers out there. Remember, this was the feather print. No longer have feathers.
No feathers.
Feathers flew away.
They done been plucked.
They done been plucked. Okay, how's my time?
You got 7 minutes.
I can do it. I got itchy eyeball. Do I want this? No, I don't want this. I want
Yeah, and then okay, so I know there was a little bit of chat regarding like when you're starting out.
Yeah.
If you have no paints and you're like, okay, which paint should I get? Highly recommend buying small sets and perhaps try to get, if you're on a super budget, go craft paint, no problem. But then maybe invest in a heavy body medium of some sort and then something like the airbrush medium. So then what you can do is utilize those craft paints and alter them with those 2 mediums. Because that will help you get more variety in the type of paint, in those colors in that set that you were able to get. Otherwise, then, and then maybe even buy smaller bottles of whatever set that you get. So that way you can go through them quickly, understand the paint, and then maybe step it up to a different, okay, well, I'm gonna, not get craft paint this time, but maybe go into something like the Liquitex Basics, or...
And also, get a smaller gel plate, so that you're not using...
Tons of paint, because you're going to overuse your paint anyway. Josh was proof of that the other day. It's just something you go through.
Caleb he erred to the side of not enough paint.
And that's tricky too.
And that is tricky too. Because what happens is once it starts drying and you're brayering, you're just picking it up, pulling it off on your brayer.
Right, Julia.
And And look at that. Remember, this today started off as a flop off.
Yeah.
As did some of these others.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of that's going to pick up.
Yes, and that is exactly right, Jen. And that's why earlier on we were kind of saying, if you want to learn about paint, go over to Golden. Go to the resource.
Go to Golden.
Go to the resource guide. You will learn things. Some of it you're going to be like, wow, this is a lot and it's overwhelming. Totally understand that. Maybe just dive into the like the airbrush medium and then like the glazing stuff. Learn about those two things. Maybe get smaller bottles of those two things, and then integrate those into whatever paints you already have, or purchase some, craft paints. Work all that out. It will help you big time.
This is the benzene, but this is medium.
Yeah.
And this is high flow. And the only thing you have to remember about this paint is you've got to, and you just noticed the other day the boys both pulled the lids off. They didn't understand the twisting. They just yanked it off.
Well, see,
bless their hearts.
This is why it's good to understand.
And it's also a really good idea to wipe their nose.
So you don't have that little clog.
And then you don't have that little clog there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, live and learn. Live and learn.
Yes.
Okay, this is going to be a lever.
So Jen says people can get sets of basic colors. Yeah, Amsterdam, if you kind of want to splurge a little bit, and they have smaller bottles. So then you get familiar with those paints, and they have them in, like, you can get a set that has the primary colors. So maybe you're a little more adventurous and you want to learn how to mix colors. That would be great because it gives you the primaries plus a black and a white, I believe. I think it might come with 6 or 8 in that set, or there's like a basic
be primary
set.
And secondary.
It could, like with a green. Yeah.
The
that's
green,
true.
the orange, and the violet.
Yes, which are great. And then that gives you some play. And they're smaller ones, so you're not like overwhelmed by, and space is a big factor too. Like once you kind of get,
it took us a long time to. I mean, this evolved. It wasn't just something that happened. All right, now I want this. This is going to be because we're out of time anyway.
Yes, we are. Ooh,
isn't it going to be gorgeous?
Not so.
And it's going to pull off everything on there, but I have to leave it because it's going paint to paint
and layers
and layers. But I think it's already very interesting. I think, and will prove to be hopefully later on. And here we go with stuff sticking. And one thing I will say here, I don't know which one. That's the only streak of color that they put down there. The rest of this is mine. Bless their hearts. They were a lot more circumspect about. And what I've discovered here is when I have extra white, I just brayer it on my foamy stuff here. Because this is that piece of foam.
Oh, yeah, we should probably explain that to people. Okay, so what P has down on, she's just taped it to the table. Like, number one, like, layer on our table is the freezer paper. If you don't have some of that, it is quite wonderful. It keeps the surface cleanable.
Here it is.
Sort of white.
Here's
which we like because we're filming. If you aren't. But again, like, having a white background to your gel plate helps you understand the color. If you are trying to like look at the colors and what's going down on your plate, and you have a wood or anything other than white, that's going to affect the color.
All right, so Ingrid here says, I would like to know when to use the glazing medium and when the airbrush medium. It depends on what you want.
Yeah.
There's no the airbrush is a thinner. The glazing liquid is a slow drying extender.
Both of those have a similar, but each one kind of has a different sheen to it as well.
Yes. And this just thins. It's going to dry just regular. But this has a little bit of slow drying. So it depends on what, and they do the satin.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go with the gloss glazing liquid, which is totally glossy,
Shiny.
shiny. I really like the satin, but sometimes I like to put this with paints that are very
Dull.
matte.
Yeah. Like those craft paints. It'll pump them up and make them look a little more glassy and classy.
Yeah. So these are 3 things that really,
Mm-hmm.
each one of them does something different.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't,
Mm-hmm.
it just depends on what you want to happen. There's no tried and true there.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I wanted to show you that I have taped down.
Oh, yes. So this is the fun foam. You can find it like at any craft store, art store, whatever. You can buy
and
it
it's
online.
very thin. The reason I discovered this by accident, because we had a piece down over here that we were showing stencils on, and I forgot, and I just went ahead and put paper on top of it because I was in a hurry. And I noticed, oh my gosh, that really is a whole, number one, it holds your paper.
It's a little grippy.
It's a little grippy.
Mm-hmm.
It has just enough oomph to it to give to be able to clean that brayer off.
Yeah.
As you're going here, keeps it in place. So it's not an absolute necessity. You don't have to have this, but it makes your life easier, and isn't that what it's all about? Let's don't make anything
Work smarter, not harder, y'all.
Smarter, not harder.
All right, my arty friends, that concludes our Sunday stream. I will be back here tomorrow. We're going to finish off those earrings. And I have earring things coming today. So I'm going to show the stuff that Sue sent me, which is hilarious because she was laughing all through last Monday. Just love it. I love it. We're all kind of, feeling the vibes. Love it. Because it's still Pride Month, y'all, and we are celebrating.
Absolutely.
Look, Sue sent me that one. All right. So we'll be back to do that. I don't know if we're going to be putting earrings together, but
I can do that.
Okay.
I'll get my tweezers, my tweezer pliers.
Because I got this whole little packet of things that'll make fun stuff. I know. You probably have things back there, but I was just like, I'm going to get this other thing because they seemed easier. Anyway, that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. We very much appreciate y'all hanging out. And until then,
love ya.
like a
long haul.
bye, guys.